Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Here's another 10 listener questions from various listeners and viewers, perhaps. I get some comments from YouTube, which is a secondary source for me, but I also get a lot of emails. And I see people at shows. Some of these are just people coming up to me or other podcast comments off my podcast websites. Thanks, sponsors, Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, ComC.com, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, Panini, Upper Deck, and Topps. First question, funny question. Beansball Card Blog, Ken Kinsley, just kicking this off. He said the Hostess card episode that Rich and I did, just in case I wasn't back in time from the National, got more response than I thought because I thought it was a random episode to talk about the Hostess cards. But Ken just said there's still plenty of ding-dongs in the hobby today, and apparently they do not expire. There's maybe a best by date or use by date, but I think they are immortal. Secondly, from Mookie Chilson commenting, and I had seen him at the National, and I saw Chris Sewell at the National too. And Jeremy Donson, the Texas snowman, Chris's compatriot. But Mookie liked that episode. He likes Chris too, obviously. Lots of fans of his work. But he says in the Collector, Investor, Dealer, he said he likes sorting, buying, and selling in that order. And he says he likes parsing out, buying right, and overpaying repeat customers in that order. I'm very similar to Chris Sewell in many respects of the way he buys. And as Mookie says, it parses buying, but sorting. So the buying and sorting are the main thing for me. And selling is not even on the list for me. It's not in my top three. I do not enjoy selling. I think Chris Sewell actually enjoys selling. And Jeremy visited with him some at the airport coming back from the National. And he started an auction company. It seems like he really likes the relational aspect of working with his consigners and all that. So that's a good way to get started. If I had a ready outlet, actually I do, I have several outlets, but finding the right place to sell something, I don't spend a lot of time on it because I don't like selling. Anyway, thanks, Mookie. And I love sorting and buying. So let's just put it that way. Probably buying first, sorting second. From 1P4G, again, talking about Chris Sewell and maybe others. So the key to being a dealer is to have a spouse who has a good job. Frankly, I think in the culture now that men and women have different roles, if a spouse has a good job, I think that's great. Frankly, maybe let's put the emphasis less on job and more on good, because there are a lot of spouses that have non-paying jobs or not good jobs. But if you have a really good job, if you're going to work and you're going to get paid a fair amount, that gives your husband or wife, for that matter, either partner, gives the other person flexibility. So here. From Stuke, about the subleasing of booths. I talked about with Rich Klein, and he mentions the dealer that had 2 booths, but he had subleased 5 out of his 6 tables. Each booth has 3 tables. And then he made money off his portion of the booth and then had the sublease revenue. But I think that may have been shut down this year. And one of the booths I shopped at quite a while had 2 booths and was cut back to 1. That impacted me because they weren't able to bring some stuff that I would have liked, but that's the way it is. Perhaps that other booth was previously subleased. I don't know, but I think they're tightening up and it seemed to work reasonably. But Stuke ends up with saying he's glad he's not in charge of this. Me too. I think it's tough to be a promoter. You can have hard and fast rules, but there are special cases and people don't always understand the special cases. Okay, point to which Papa Jim writes in. He said, I'm curious how certain people like Cards HQ and Jeff Wilson can get a table at the National when it seems like many others have been on a waiting list. It helps to be an influencer and to be a media. I think Jeff Wilson has a number of entities. He's a serial entrepreneur. Strong media credentials would certainly move him. I think he did some cross promotion with the National. He had multiple booths, including corporate and dealer and at buying stations. Papa Jim, like I said, I think that when you are heavily involved in the hobby and cross-promoting the National, I think that's probably what happened. He's got a very popular YouTube channel. Next, I don't think I've talked about this, but Mark Harwell, my longtime friend and former president who's passed away now, I did a tribute to him, but he mentioned this applies to the National, it applies to how you set up your dealer booth and all that. He always talked about how Walmart versus, I think he was talking about Kmart. It might have been more Target, but any of these huge box retailers, they have a strategy of sometimes putting the stuff that everybody really wants in the back and then putting up front the stuff that they really want to sell you. But Walmart versus Kmart, he always said there's an aspect to making things very structured where you know exactly where to go, which is what Walmart does. Every Walmart seems to be a little bit the same. You walk through it, you think, this is that now I should be coming up on the soft drinks. Whereas Kmart was a little more random. And the theory there, and I guess Walmart has won the battle, but Kmart was thinking if it's not as well organized, you might stumble into something you like. And I think that's not as well organized. And so those are the two theories of setting up your card booth or your LCS. If you know exactly where things are and it's very organized and structured, some people like that. But then they just go exactly to, for example, if there was a section over in the right corner that was all Pokemon, I don't know that I would ever go there. But I might stumble on a Pokemon if it's in the middle of something else. I'm still not going to be very interested, but I'm not even exposed if it's, for example, I go into a shoe store and there's the women on the left and the men are on the right or whatever. I just go straight to the men's shoes. I'm not going to left unless I'm with my wonderful wife. And then in case maybe she's getting shoes and I'm not. No sense me even looking on the right side. At any rate, that's just a strategy. Obviously, if you've seen the stuff I've done, I've always been more in the Walmart camp of making it very structured, price guides that are linear, chronological, structured. In fact, the books that we did, we really wanted to make it structured in a way you can find what you're looking for. Okay, so somebody wrote in asking about when is all this timing of buying, when to buy, when to not buy. And I can honestly say I've never had a time not to buy or a time to buy. I'm just completely opportunistic. So I don't think what's off season, I'm not going to buy. But again, I'm not buying a card. I will buy groups of cards, but I don't shy away from something because of the time of year. And same thing with selling. I don't think, I'm going to go ahead and hurry and sell something. No, I put things on ComC. I put things on eBay, and it's price to sell. And I'll sell it when I sell it. I don't really think, the Celtics just won, I'm going to mark everything up or mark everything down or whatever. I just try to price it like I think it's going to sell. Another one, again, I don't know who this one was from either, but it's about moms. I've done something with my mom and she's still around, really struggling, but she's still around. She threw away some of my cards. The moms always get a bad rap, but sometimes it's the dad. What's happening now in the 21st century is that your mom didn't throw away your cards. Your dad didn't throw away your cards. Your grandmother didn't throw your cards. You threw away your cards. And that's really sad. And I hope it comes back to bite people. They left cards in the counter, threw them in the trash, thought these aren't really worth collecting. And I hope they later figure out there was something really good in there because that's against the ethics, I think, of a collector, that everything has some value. And so maybe we need to revise our narrative about moms throwing away cards is that anybody that does not appreciate the value in cards thinks they're just taking up space. Like I said, my theory is I'd like to find a home for the cards that I don't want, and it might be for a cheap price, but I'd like to get into somebody, and that is not a landfill. Next from a couple of them, and one was from High Speed Card Chase, another was from Jeff, and they want to talk about Yvonne Lendl, and Rich and I talked about that, about what is his rookie card, and so there's several people have asked about that. Again, the obvious answer is probably the Sportscaster card. It's in Series 82. I did look that up. I do have it. Again, that was an international set as well as an American set. So you do find different variations there. And Jeff in particular is saying he just thinks that the Sportscaster card for Yvonne Lendl is the rookie card, and you've got to work illogically to not call it a rookie. Frankly, I know what you're saying, Jeff, but historically in the hobby, something oversized like that was issued in series like that, not available in hobby shops, a mail order item, pretty obscure. Like I said, in the Jordan XRC episodes, I try to let the market determine. And if the market puts a run on, maybe it's his earliest card. And if people want to call it a rookie card, I'm not the boss. You can call it a rookie card and try to sell it as such, but it's an oversized card, not usually considered to be the rookie card in terms of the RC. But people have misunderstood. RC was a designation that was shorthand to be helpful in the monthly magazines for many years. It had nothing to do with what was in the book. When we were doing the annual books for each sport and the multi-sport sets as well, it was just, what's the price? But the RC was a shorthand notation to put in the monthly single sport magazines. But anyway, thanks, guys. And I think tennis could be a coming thing, and who knows? Yvonne Lendl at a time was number one. Lastly, from Ken again, he just says he and his wife have discussed it, and they love the term friendly introvert. He said it was new to both of us and is how we see ourselves and each other. And I think that's nice. I think an introvert that is not friendly, that's lonely, and a friendly extrovert sometimes is too much. But a friendly introvert, my wife and I really enjoy that, although I think I identify with it more than she does. And Ken, I've had enough interactions with you is that just like me, I don't approach people and overwhelm them. But when I get into conversation, I've got lots of strong feelings about things. And that certainly epitomizes you too. So everybody in the hobby has passion. You can be an introvert and have passion. You can be an extrovert and have passion. So I'm a big fan of passion. And Ken, you've got it. I've got it, but it's introvert passion. So at any rate, that's enough questions for today. I've really appreciated my faithful listeners, regardless of their personality types. And I've gotten to meet many of them at the National and some of these shows. I'm looking forward to doing that more so. I'll be at the next Dallas show in case you're there as well. So thanks, everybody. Be back again in a couple of days.